Hello and welcome one and all to a brand new all-star installment of Super Suits, the internet comic book show where we run down some of the most famous legal cases in the history of superheroes and comic books. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at this man right here, Rob Liefeld. Now, I'm gonna guess plenty of you out there watching right now already know who this man is, or at the very least have seen some of his famous, or infamous, depending on where you stand, comic artwork. But for those of you who don't know, Mr. Liefeld is perhaps, and this is by his own admission too, one of the most controversial figures in the world of comics. He's a self-taught artist who got his big break working on such titles as The New Mutants, where he famously co-created the character of Deadpool, and later even X-Force. Liefeld would have a falling out with Marvel in the 90s, which led to him becoming one of the co-founders of creator-owned Image Comics, along with the likes of Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson. During the 1990s, Image would have a meteoric rise to prominence, and it's that success that helps make up the backbone for this supersuit. You see, while Liefeld and the guys at Image were on the rise, Marvel was taking a beating at this point in time. Bankruptcy was looming and things were looking bad. How bad, you might be asking? Well, Marvel decided to outsource some of their biggest heroes to the Image writers, most of whom famously exited the company because they felt they were being treated poorly. The line would be called Heroes Reborn, and Liefeld along with Jeff Loeb would helm Captain America. How was the actual book? Well, a popular story told in certain comic circles is that it was so bad it was a contributing factor in the death of Marvel vet, former editor-in-chief and lifelong Cap fan and writer Mark Grunwald. The legend goes that the stressful and unsure environment of the comic industry, and especially Marvel, at that time had begun to have adverse effects on the man's health, and this book was the metaphorical last nail in his coffin. Overdramatic? Almost certainly, but it does tell one heck of a tale, doesn't it? Liefeld's Cap only lasted a handful of issues, about half as long as it was supposed to, and the Heroes Reborn line, being a real dud all things considered, was pretty much swept under the rug. But Liefeld and Loeb still had Captain America stories left to tell. In fact, they had written a bunch, so they figured they might as well tell them even if it wasn't with Captain America. They would instead look to purchasing the rights to Fighting American. Who was Fighting American, you might be asking yourself? Well, I'll tell you. He was an original hero invented by Captain America creators Joe Simon and Jack Kirby at a time when they too had become disillusioned with their work at Marvel. And I mean, it all makes sense, doesn't it? If Liefeld and Loeb had unfinished Captain America scripts, better to use an established character from beloved creators than create their own out of thin air, right? Just as a quick side note, it's important to bring up the fact that the Image founding fathers all loved Jack Kirby, and I mean, why not? He's the king, right? Image even released Jack's own Phantom Force, his first original superhero work in many years. It's because of all this, you might be shocked to learn what happened next. You see, when Liefeld attempted to buy the rights for Fighting American for his own comic book company, Awesome Comics, from the still alive Joe Simon and Jack Kirby's widow, Jack having sadly passed away not long before, he couldn't reach a price that he liked with the widow, so instead he decided to prove he didn't even need Fighting American by inventing a whole new character anyway to help compel the Fighting American owners to sell to him. Was this petty or just good business? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Liefeld's new character would be called Agent America, and just by looking at him you can tell he shares more than a few similarities with both Fighting American and Captain America. It's also at this point right here things start to get very confusing, as you have multiple people telling multiple different versions of events that have changed over the years. The way I've always had it told to me, and the way that I read it, is that the Kirby-Simon camp had attempted to sue Liefeld for copyright infringement, but they never got a chance to, because Big Papa Marvel was already looming with a lawsuit for Liefeld, also claiming copyright infringement, this time of Captain America, saying that Agent America shared far too many similarities. What we know for sure though is that Rob Liefeld would eventually one way or another get a hold of the rights to Fighting American, and not a moment too soon, as it helped strengthen his own case against Marvel. Liefeld's own lawsuit with Marvel would end on something of a compromise. He could write the character could look the way he did, but they would have to downplay the similarities with Captain America as much as possible. The biggest one being that Fighting American could not throw his shield. And yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Here you have a case where red, white, and blue became very red, white, and screwed. Oh, badumtish, thank you, thank you, thank you. I stayed up all night writing that one, I hope you appreciated it. And to think, now when you're all standing in line to see Captain America Civil War, you can bust out this little piece of trivia to all your line mates, and won't that just make you feel great? And there you have it, another episode of Super Suits on the books. As always, for more educational comic book and superhero videos, please subscribe to Scott and NerdSync, and to see what I'm doing over on my own channel, check out Cape Joel. And before you go, why not hurl your own mighty shield at that subscribe button by clicking it. Clicking the subscribe button feels so good.